There it is. I thought I had everything down tonight. But nope, there it is. I forgot to adjust the mic.
This guy's called the Standing Streamer.
From Wrestling with Regret, you're watching Putting You Over.
Anyways, those are my headphones. How's it going? What's going on? Welcome to Putting You Over. I am the Standing Streamer. And tonight, about 9:15, we will we'll open the show with interview Tyler Tirva, Canadian independent wrestler. Had a cup of coffee in WWE on SmackDown, and all that jazz. We're gonna get find a little bit more about him, learn what makes him tick, what the Saturday Night Delight is all about. So, man, I got to get a producer to just direct me. I mean, they can't control things in the studio. Here he comes. Here's Tyler. Good. Now we can get the show on the road. Hopefully he can hear me. He's fixing his cam. He's checking his mic. Can you hear me?
Yep. Now we're all good.
Awesome. I was just yelling at my computer because the bot I have for the Twitch stream just decides not to work. And I have this cool little guest command with your Twitter. And I think your pro wrestling is it Instagram, your Twitter and your Instagram, and it just didn't want to work. And I just wanted to throw it. I just wanted to throw it across the room, and whatever. Just breathe, serenity now, as they say. First things first. Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
I know I was supposed to have you on before, and something came up last minute that I was supposed to cover for WrestlingNewsWorld.com, and things came up and pushed. And you were so generous and so gracious, I guess is the correct language, to say, yeah, sure, man, we can do it again, whenever, whatever. And now here you are. So that's awesome. So I want to definitely thank you for that.
No problem, man. The only reason I just couldn't do it later is I normally go to bed in and around this time. So
Yeah.
I'm just making sure I got enough energy for this.
Yeah.
So I do, which I do. So.
I hear you, man. I'm a father of 3 daughters. So right away, that makes me instantly tired by about 7:30.
Yep.
I attempt to do this show 3 days a week.
Wow.
And it's been a little easier because I'm just home all the time now because of the COVID stuff. So, but I think I may in the future pull back one of the days because it's just stretching me thin. And I like to research. I like to prepare. I like to then push them out to YouTube. And there's just so much to do. And if you want to do it right, you don't want to stretch yourself thin. At least that's how I look at it. So,
well, and that's like 150-ish or a bit more like episodes a year. Like that's a lot.
That is a ton. And I try to make it more of enough. I mean, this is putting you over and we're talking about myself, but I try to make it more of like a variety show on Twitch. So I try try not to get a guest all the time, but if I can get someone, I try to do everything I can to accommodate them. And then, but it's like we were saying, sleep, man. I usually, if I'm not doing a show, I'm in bed already, at least.
Yeah.
So when I'm allowed to sleep in my bed, since this stay-at-home COVID stuff,
Yeah.
I'd have to go to bed at 6 in order to sleep in my own bed by myself. I have a 3-year-old that sleeps there because she's 3 and has her mother wrapped around her finger. My 11-year-old, she's fine. She's great. Love her. This 7-year-old has this weird, she sleepwalks. So she just sleepwalks into our bed. And then I'm too tired to get up and move her. So my wife's too tired to get up and move her. So.
Wild.
Yeah, wild is right.
Kids.
Something like
Kids.
that. That's why I don't know which camera is the zoom camera, this one. I don't know if you can see all my gray hair, but it's there. It's silver. I'm going to say it's silver.
Yeah. I always say, like, you need a little salt with pepper, right?
You do. That's why they make them. They make those salt and pepper. It's in one thing now because it goes good together.
Exactly.
It's essential to grilling, first of all. It's essential.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't need spices. You can use them. Don't get me wrong. Spices are great. But if you just salt and pepper everything at the start, that's golden. You'll be golden with that.
Absolutely.
But anyways, let's and we'll get to what you're doing now, and we'll get to some fun little questions at the end. But I want to jump back here, and I want to pick your brain on your first wrestling memory. Was wrestling big in your house? Like, do you have a first like vivid memory that you can put your hands on?
Yeah, I've got like it's a mishmash. So super vivid in my family, absolutely. So I started watching wrestling at like 2. I was watching Saturday night's main events.
Yep.
So like at like 2 or 3 years old, my dad would put me down for a nap, and then he'd make homemade pizzas, and then he'd wake me and I have 2 older sisters. He'd wake us up. And so like, and then my mom would watch too. So the 5 of us would watch Saturday night's main event.
That's awesome.
And like, I was rocking, like, it was always like Macho Man Randy Savage shirts and like Hulk Steel Rule shirts. And then I had a sister who loved the Rockers and another one who loved Miss Elizabeth. So like like that was like my first like vivid memory of like, this is when you like fell in love with wrestling.
Yeah.
And like, I couldn't even speak yet.
No.
So
it
was wild.
That's amazing. And what'd you say? You had 2 older sisters?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an older sister and an older brother, and then I have 2 younger brothers. And that was the same thing for us. Like, wrestling was huge in our house. And I remember Saturday night's main event the same as you. I remember didn't get to stay up often. I would try to, but I would usually fall asleep. But my older brother would always find a way to tape it. I think they were still taping it at that time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was tapes then. Yeah, we had cousins who like I got their tapes like months later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing I always remember at that time, I don't want to walk around and get them, were the LJNs. You know, the big like rubber wrestlers. Those things are like harder than a rock. I remember those. Those I really remember vividly because we had the big ring that they sold with it.
Same.
And
I had the steel cage as well.
Yeah, they'd get thrown. They'd get thrown across the room, and they'd hurt. If you got hit with one of those things hurt.
Oh yeah, my sister, like, she had the Miss Elizabeth one. I threw hers in the back tree. We never found it. My dad took, it was a big pine tree. He like cut it. He like cut all the lower branches, and I'm thinking I'm gonna find this Miss Elizabeth that she hit me many times over. No, Elizabeth's gone.
Yeah, I got a story similar to that too. When they came out, not the LJNs, but later on with the Hasbros, the like this tall ones, and you push them down. We, I think, was it Macho Man? Yeah, it might have been Macho Man. My dad got so mad one day at us playing with them in the living room. He must have been watching something. I don't remember that part. He got so mad. Yeah. He took it and he threw it as hard as he could, and it made a hole like right in the wall and fell in between the things. And we never got it. Even when my parents eventually tore down that house. I'd have to ask my younger brother. They eventually tore it down. I wonder if that wrestler ever showed up. But
in the drywall, like in between the pieces.
Because it was always like a running joke after that. Like, oh, Savage is still in the wall. It's just, I believe
he's watching over us.
Oh, Savage is gonna get you. What's that noise? Oh, it's the Macho King. I don't know. Yeah, it was Macho. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was. I don't think it was the Warrior. Although I bet you the Warrior could be. He's probably in people's walls now. Rest his soul.
Oh yeah, just like going crazy. I remember my neighbor. He was 4 years older than me, so he asked me to borrow my Hasbro's, and I was mad because he returned it. And you know how so this was Rick Rude's pose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So behind, right in the lat, it's the function of the left arm.
Yeah.
It was right in the back of it, part of the body chipped off, and he didn't tell me, but I knew because I was such a stickler on there's no paint smears on them or anything like that. I was so mad. You might as well have just stomped it in front of me. I was so bad.
I think we those, and now it's a big thing. Like people collect them, all of them. It's huge. I'm not really into that, but I remember I have the British Bulldogs, the LJNs of the British Bulldogs, and we must have really wanted the Bulldogs to either turn heel or we wanted our own demolition figures or something, because our British Bulldogs are all painted up with different colors on them. So I don't know what we were thinking at that time. But
maybe you got Legion of Doom.
Yeah, I think that's what we wanted. And I've looked at it. They made. I have a lot of LJNs, but they made so many more that I didn't even know about. And you can't get your hands on them these days unless you really want to pay up. And I don't. I just want my kids to play with them now. That's it.
Well, they made for Demolition. They made Axe, but they didn't make Smash.
What's the thinking of that? I got to get behind that story.
Yeah, they shifted to. I used to be a big collector. In high school. That was my first job, was selling wrestling merchandise online on eBay. I was 16, so my mom gave me her credit card.
That's smart. That's business savvy stuff at the age of 16, man. That's good.
Yeah, it was also just to the money that I made. I just bought more wrestling merch that I wanted.
Just keep turning it over. Yep.
Yeah, so I still have that grind in me. It's sweet to know that hey, I didn't lose it. I still, when people talk about figures, you're mentioning LJNs, and I can name you almost every series. It's so nerdy.
It's so cool though. I'm afraid. All right, here's a little about me. I'm afraid. I really get into things when I have a hobby or a passion or this. I try to absorb as much as I can. And I'm afraid that if I try to jump back into that collecting, especially the LJNs, which I really enjoy, if I try to get back into that, I'm going to go nuts. And it's going to be bad. It's already bad enough. I gobble up every wrestling Funko Pop I can. And and that's a problem. Besides just T-shirts, my wife hates me. in the nicest sense possible, but
as long as you only pick one thing, though,
I try.
Then it can't get so insane. Like you said, you got shirts and Funko Pops, so you're good because they're two different avenues. But I know what you need. What you mean? I've got a couple. I bought a couple Hasbro's last year, and I even said to my girlfriend, they've been in the closet ever since. I just need to sell them again.
Here comes one of the children now. Daddy's live right now, so don't come on. You can go upstairs. I'll be done soon. You can come around and get a kiss. All right, let's we'll jump back to wrestling. We'll stop talking about. We're talking about Daddy's wrestling figures. Kiss. All right. Goodbye.
We had your present.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's get back. So your first love of wrestling, Saturday night's main event. You were 2. Wrestling was big, obviously big. Your dad seems to be that's what I do with those girls. We watch wrestling all the time. It was easier when they were younger. Now it's getting a tad harder. But they want to do all the moves. So they see it and they want to do it. And I don't know what we're going to do there. But anyways, when did the idea pop into your head? Oh, maybe this is something I would like to do.
So in high school, I remember like I did a backyard fed. Like we just did like
Backyard
one
wrestling.
or two matches.
Yeah, everyone
And
loves
then
it.
I did a drama grade 11 final project.
Yeah.
I frog splashed a guy off a ladder, which I forgot until now, which is weird. But anyways.
Wait, so
But
for
like,
school for a final project, you frog
Yeah.
splashed somebody.
I created a match. We had a 4-way elimination match. And then, so like, I remember I hit a guy with a chair in the back, but it was one of those folding chairs, but when you fold it up, it has that metal ridge right down the middle.
Yeah.
So that like cut his elbow. And I was like, oh, welcome to the biz, kid.
Dude, we got color.
Yeah. Got color on that was the second guy that got eliminated. And then it was me and a buddy. And yeah, eventually like I frog splashed him off a ladder. I remember I was still like 2 or 3 rungs from the top because I had like a fear of heights.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and it was just like a board laying on 2 chairs that like is of course like half bent in the middle. You're like, this is gonna break before I even get to the top of this ladder.
That's amazing. So that's like a high school you said, right?
That was high school, yeah. And
So,
like in that same drama class, like I did a Mr. Perfect promo and I got 100% on it.
That's awesome. Did you do it as Mr. Perfect or literally like a one of his promos you did? Like a soliloquy.
I did the SummerSlam 1991. Bret Hart, you may be excellent, but I'm perfect.
That's awesome. Oh man, that's the highlight of putting you over. That's amazing.
Yeah, bro, you got to be Mr. Perfect to get perfect. I was like, why would I pick someone else?
And I would have never thought, and it makes perfect sense. I would never thought in a drama class, which every school has, to put on a wrestling show. That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, they didn't all the students went nuts.
Yeah.
But like the teacher after was like, I didn't know you were going to do any of that.
Oh yeah, don't tell them. I would never tell them.
God no. And then of course just this, I think that's where like the wrestler in me came out where I was like, but the crowd went nuts.
Yeah.
So
I was like, oh, I like this. Yeah. I like this.
Yeah. So, and then I went to I did 2 years of college, and then after college, I just thought to myself, like I didn't want to do anything in line with like what I went to school for. So I got my diploma in small business management, and then I was like, hey, what do I want to do? And then eventually was like just Googled like wrestling schools. I was 21 at the time, and then I sent an email to a guy, and thankfully like he ended up getting me set up with the guy who eventually became my trainer, which is Danger Boy Derek Wild, he was in TNA in the original when they were on Wednesday only pay-per-views from the Asylum.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in a couple of those, and then that's who trained me, and then that's kind of how things took off. I was just like, I just started working out, and I was like, oh, I want to do something with this. What could I do?
So
I was like, I love this wrestling.
That's at Pro Wrestling Extreme, I believe.
Yeah.
And so Derek Wild's training you. Now, I when I was researching you, I got the name, and I said, I know that name from somewhere. So then I followed his avenue. Same thing, the Google avenue, to find out where I remember Dangerous Derek Wild from. And you were right, it was the Asylum days. So I went and I watched some of his matches, and then I followed that up with some of your matches. Now, his style and your style are not really the same. Like you're more of an 80s, almost like an 80s wrestler. You have that like perfect savage Rick Martel, that type of style, almost slow, methodical type of match.
Yeah.
How was it hard to develop? This is the part I don't understand because I've never gone into wrestling. I don't know it. I don't know. Like you're getting trained by one guy that has a certain style and way of doing thing, and then you come out of that totally different. Like, is that challenging? Right. Is that hard?
Yes and no. Like, yeah, it was hard because I couldn't completely relate because I was like, I'm not going to be a high flyer. Like, I was a bit like at the time when I started, guys weren't in shape that were young. It was that simple. Like they just weren't in shape. But I was also taller than all those guys too. So me to do a high flying style on guys that are smaller than me just looks stupid.
Yeah.
Like, because it looks like I should just be able to punch them and then like that's I wouldn't say like that's it, but like then boom, I'm back in control.
But that's psychology.
So,
If you're like a pro, you're
right.
like 6'2", right? You're about
Yeah.
6'2". If you were in the ring with someone like me who's 5'9", maybe 5'10", if I wear some Doc Martens, like you're not gonna go off the top. You're gonna pick me up and choke slam me because that's believable.
Right.
And that's
Right.
the psychology of it. Yeah.
Right. So what was neat is I learned I learned some of the moves of his style, but what he really taught me is like he has really good fundamentals and most importantly though, he has really good aggression.
Yeah.
So I learned to be aggressive immediately. And that's something that you just can't teach. Now I come from a background of a lot of different sports, so that transition was really like it was really easy. Like
I was gonna
he does
say.
a move, boom, I can do it right away. Like I can do it. And then now for me, when I did a move, I'd watch it back, and if it didn't look like I always say, like if your moonsault is better than Kurt Angle's, then do a moonsault.
Yeah. He's got a hell of a
But don't just do. Yeah, he has a hell of a moonsault, but don't just do a moonsault because you can do a moonsault.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where my philosophy came from. Like I remember I actually just like put on my Facebook fan page today because it was like 12 years ago today that I had my first match with my Danger Boy Derek Wild, and I did like a reverse Rana, like Hurricane Rana on him, and like I'd never done one ever, and just like did it in the match. He's like, yeah, you'll be fine. It's like I've never gone backwards like that. Thankfully, I just didn't break my neck. But,
Yeah.
But like that's something like looking back, like I would never do that now.
But you were young then. You were a kid, really.
Yeah.
And I think from things I've heard from young independent wrestlers I've talked to, from moving up, older radio shows that I listened to, I think with time comes that let's take it slow. Like let's work the match. Let's use some psychology and believability and all. And I think that just comes with time and experience. Now I'm just speaking as a fan, but that's what I would think.
An interesting tidbit that goes along with that, because that's something that you've probably heard a lot, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
As people, because it's true. Like you're 100% correct. But the reason why is because as time goes on, as a wrestler, you get more comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like when I'm new, I'm just gonna hit you and keep going and do like a lot of stuff because then I'm not lost.
Yep.
But like I'm actually lost. So I'm just doing stuff to do it. I don't know where it goes, how it can be better, and stuff like that. So that comes with time.
Yeah.
Think of it as like the first day you went to like your first job in like high school. You're like, oh my God, I'm timid.
Yeah.
I can't even say hi to, if it's a customer service job, I can't even say hi to the person coming in because I'm not like, you're not comfortable with it. But like after like a year, you're probably like talking to someone while ringing someone else in through the till. And you know what I mean? Like, so that's like pro wrestling's exactly the same way. As you get those reps in, your clockwork becomes different.
That's interesting. And it's well said too. It makes perfect sense to me. Yeah. All right. So we'll try to stay on the timeline here. You get trained and you're ready to go. You've had your first match. Now you're an independent star, independent contractor, I guess. Like, let's pull the curtain back for a little bit. How, what goes into getting your matches? Like, and you have a business sense. Now, let's remember that. Let's keep that in the back of your mind. You even said it at a young age. You were good at selling product. So you're probably great at selling yourself. How do you go out and get yourself matches? Get yourself booked?
Show up.
So
show up. So show up and help.
Yeah.
So like it's really important when you're a really young wrestler, it's important to know everything about how a show happens. Mm-hmm. So there's chairs that need to be set up. You also need to know how the ring works. Like, because if something happens with the ring, you should want to know what's going to make you safe, what's not. And when you know how the ring's set up, you can have a good understanding of like, hey, if a board in the ring breaks, like what happens?
Yeah.
You know, like as a performer, like you should want to know that. The same as like, and even just understanding like, who's the promoter, like who's the person, like that person is eventually going to be the one that pays you. So going out and like setting up chairs and just being a professional from that standpoint goes a really long way. And also being able to start to build a relationship by showing your face to these promoters, that's going to be a way that you can eventually hopefully get a spot. And then once you have a spot, you got to then try and keep it.
Yeah. So just being downright a professional individual, learning, listening, showing up, early. Yeah.
Yeah. Super early, showing up early, asking if anyone needs any help, and constantly saying like, hey, like, is there anything else I can do? Anything else I can do? Like, what else do you need? Like, that's on the day of a show, any business owner, all they want is help.
Yeah. I could imagine.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of things that go on. And then from a booking standpoint, I'm going to be honest, I was very fortunate when I started because my trainer was he was going to be retiring. So
Right.
He did like a little retirement tour. He ended up like coming back for stayed for a couple more years after that. But because he was leaving everywhere, he got me booked on all these shows. But it was also because I made sure out of the gates that I had a look that was very unique and specific, but I also looked like an athlete and I showed up looking like a pro. I'm not just wearing like sweatpants or
You
jogging
acted like
pants.
you'd been there before. Yeah. It's like in
yeah.
football. Yeah.
And you want that job. Like you want to treat it like this is the job that I want and that I want to keep, right? Once I do get that opportunity. So
yeah,
that's kind of like how things usually get started. And it also helps, like usually it's like a friend has, like you train with a guy and he puts a good word in for you. And eventually you might get to wrestle a short little match like before show or whatever, like a VIP match, and then that's how it all begins. You just got to be ready.
But I think you said you hit on something that goes a long way in a lot of different aspects of life. Look the part. Look what you want, how you want to be represented. And I went back to some of your old stuff, and you looked the part.
Thank you.
I mean, not that you don't look the part now. You look great. but what I'm saying is, if I can understand what you mean by saying look the part, act professional, act like you've been there. So that word of mouth, that's all great stuff. Now you're from Canada originally. Mm-hmm. You're still up there, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you're starting out early on, is it difficult to make that transition from an independent Canadian star to then working shows on the indie scene in the U.S.? Like, what challenges lie there?
There's huge challenges. So for a Canadian, like there's no work visa that's issued. So we're not allowed to cross the border to work.
Wait, you need a work visa to cross the border. I get that.
To work, yeah.
To work. But
yeah,
you're telling me that you, as an independent wrestler, can't get one for independent contractor?
No, because it's independent. So you need to be sponsored from a corporation or a company.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what you can do in all these things is if you have a tryout with a company,
okay,
then you can go down and you can try out.
So that makes sense.
So that's the tough part about being a Canadian trying to build a name in the U.S.
Yeah, that seems really challenging. I never realized that.
Yeah. So but it doesn't work the other way. Like so for American wrestlers, like there's American wrestlers on shows all the time, and they literally just have a printout from the promoter that says, hey, this person is coming to wrestle on my show at this address.
But it can't go the other way.
Exactly, because of the U.S. border laws.
On our end.
On your end, yeah.
On our end. Well, that's stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I don't have any say. Well, I guess I do. I guess I can vote and get says in it, but it wasn't my idea to do it.
Whatever.
I'm
kidding. I'm not taking this personal.
But
that's essentially it.
Okay, so you look the part. You're a prototype. You're 6'2". You're a modern day Randy Orton. Okay, How do you go from?
I'll take that.
There you go. I didn't say it was Vanessa in the chat. She said it.
Sweet.
So I stole that idea from her. How do you go from like attending internet cafes every day, Googling, Googling, I did my research, Googling
Yeah, you did.
wrestling schools to being on SmackDown?
So I went to in 2009, February 2009. So that was my 11th month in the business. I did a seminar. And at the time, WWE had a partnership because they were still using OVW as their developmental territory. Yep. So I did I think it was a 2-day seminar down in Kentucky. And so they had, it was supposed to be, I think it was Mark Henry and Gail Kim were the guest speakers.
Nice.
I can't remember.
Now you get a visa for because you're going down to train.
I'm going down to, like, I was paying to do this seminar. Okay. And so it was just to, like, learn. It's also to just, like, you can check out Ohio Valley to see if that's where you want to train and stuff like that. So, yeah, so, like, we crossed the border.
So you just
I paid OVW a fee. Yeah. And essentially it was like a tryout, and it was a way that, like, Johnny Ace ended up being there. Yeah. And he was essentially, like, scouting talent. So that's how I ended up in, eventually, like, being in the WWE contact system. And then one day they called me up and they said, "Hey, do you want to shave your head?" And I was like, for what? And I was also taken back because I'm like, I'm known for my hair.
I look so good. It's perfect.
I'm like, I just love brushing it. I just want to continue to do that. And she's like, the girl on the phone, she's like, "Okay, well, I'll let you think about it. But you would be part of the Straight Edge Society on SmackDown. So let me know if that's something that you'd like to do." And so I got on the phone and I called up Highlander Robbie, who had been, he was released a year or two before that. And so he's a good buddy of mine. And I was like, "Hey, so WWE just called me." And mind you, I've never been had a WWE tryout or anything like that at this point, and I'm only like just over 2 years and a month in, and I'm like, "Hey, they want me to cut my hair. What do I do?" He goes, "Well, your hair will grow back, so what do you think you should do?" It's like, "I should probably go and get my head shaved." He goes, in a roundabout way, he's like, "Yes."
Yes, you better.
With a bunch of F-bombs and "You're an idiot. Why didn't you say yes right away?"
Yeah.
So then, boom, show up at SmackDown. They come up to me. They're like, "All right, so you're one of the guys."
Wait, did you show up with your head shaved?
No. Like, I showed up for the CM Punk segment.
Okay.
And get my head shaved, and they were like, there were 16 guys total, and we all had to stand in a line, and they made us stand in a line, but they didn't tell us why. And Jamie Noble walked by, and he goes, he's like, "You, come here." He pulls me out of the line. I'm like, "This is weird." Okay. And then and then he just looks back and forth with the other 15 people. And then he's like, "I'll be right back." So he takes me with him. I go over and I'm talking with Arn Anderson, and Arn Anderson is the agent on my match, and I'm wrestling Kurt Hawkins and Vance Archer. And then about 3 minutes later, they bring a tag partner over for me. And then 10 minutes later, another producer comes by, and they're like, "No, we need to repick." And so we stand in line again. I get picked out first right away. I'm like, okay.
All right,
in my head, I'm like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "I think I'm going to be on SmackDown." And then in my head, I'm like, well, I'm not saying that I'm supposed to be here to get my head shaved. So anyways, to finish the story out, I ended up a match on SmackDown, and I was supposed to be in Straight Edge Society, get my head shaved in the opening segment of Raw, but instead got to wrestle Kurt Hawkins.
Oh.
And now Lance Archer.
Lance Archer.
So that's sweet. Yeah.
That is pretty sweet.
Vance Archer at the time.
Oh, Vance.
But now Lance. Yeah.
That's pretty, that's a great story. That is a great story.
Thank you.
I would have liked to see you, though, with your head shaved.
I did. It's interesting. I actually I shaved it.
Yeah.
Later that summer, or the summer after, And the second I shaved, I was like, oh, this hair sucks, because I wrestled Brody Lee,
Yeah.
and it was just before he got signed to be Luke Harper for WWE. I wrestled him at a show, and like all the pictures, like this is the first time I saw myself wrestling with my head shaved, and I was like, man, we got to grow that hair back.
That's
I
not
hate
me.
that look on me. That's not going to work.
Oh man, but that's a cool story. That's a cool story. Let's it's funny how you described Jamie Noble. He's like looking at everyone. Oh, you come on, and then hold on, I'll be back. It's just I can see it. Like you described it so well. I can like visually see it like in my head, like a movie, like kind of like what they did with the Page movie, the Rock one. What was that called? This Is My Family. That scene.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think he burns twice as many calories as every other male every day.
Who's that?
He just
Jamie
does
Noble?
everything fast. Yeah, he just walks fast and like everything. Instead of just pointing like slowly like this, he's just like.
He does look like
times
he
two.
walks fast.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, but he's sweet. Like he's awesome. Yeah.
Would you say your experience with the WWE was a positive one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of different things and tryouts with them, and like every single time like I never had an issue with anything. I thought like everyone always treated me fair, like no one was ever rude to me or looked down at me, but it was sweet.
And you had a match recently, well not that recently, but like right before all this COVID stuff broke up, you had a match with Impact with TJP, I believe. Yeah,
that was actually like October.
Oh,
last year.
For some reason I thought it was March.
March actually was the finals at Gut Check.
Okay.
And so that was with Shogun. And then, I had a match with TJP on Explosion back in like September, October last year down in Vegas.
Yeah, I remember Explosion. That's when they had a lot of they were in Vegas. I think was it a college area down there in Vegas, maybe? I remember watching it.
Sam's Town. It's like a casino.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure everything's a casino there.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward to now. Well, first of all, I didn't even come out of the gate with this because it's a question that everybody asks, and I didn't want to come out of the gate with it, but I would like to crowbar it in here now. For maybe the people in the Twitch chat who don't know who you are, or when we push it out to YouTube, they don't know who you are. Who is the Saturday Night Delight, Tyler Tirva?
Who is the Saturday Night Delight? He is the dapper, dimpled, dangerously delicious Mr. Young, Fit, and Stupid Pretty, the Sunday morning hangover cure, the Saturday Night Delight. Yeah. Basically, he's just sweet.
You got that from
a couple letters with the D. Next thing you smile, you point at abs, and next thing you know, you're like, "Oh, I'm Tyler Tirva." But
then drop your name.
I am from your girlfriend's dreams. So that is from your girlfriend's dreams, the dapper, dimpled, dangerously delicious Mr. Young, Fit, and Stupid Pretty, Tyler Tirva.
How close is the Saturday Night Delight to the actual Tyler Tirva?
Do this.
There you go.
There we go.
That's good.
Just Tyler Tirva turned up.
Turn it up. That's what we get a lot on here. I think we had one wrestler. I think it was Tony Deppen. I asked him that question, and he says nothing. I'm nothing like my character. I'm the total opposite. And that was the first time I ever got that answer, and I was blown away with it. But
how do you give a follow up when you're like?
I was like,
you weren't expecting that answer.
That's exactly what I did. I go, to be honest with you, I would think the best characters are ones that are closer to who you are as a person. Just dial it up. That was my belief. But then I'm talking to Tony Deppen, who I think's character is great on in a match when I see him, and now it's the complete opposite. I'm like,
yeah.
I was like, wow.
And just like anyone else, Tyler Tirva has good days and bad days. So
yeah, I'm sure.
Sometimes you see him being a jerk to the fans. Sometimes you see him being a jerk to his opponent. But
you prefer to be a heel or a face?
I'm just Tyler Tirva every time.
Just Tyler Tirva.
Just depends on who I'm projecting to and how I'm feeling that day.
So okay, so what are you doing right now? We're in the COVID. We're all stuck inside. I'm here with so much estrogen that I'm losing my mind. What's a day in the life of the Saturday Night Delight right now in today's day and age?
Right now, I am waking up, having single or double shot espressos.
There you go.
Then I'm doing quite a bit of reading. I also then go to the park, do some outdoor workouts. I'm also really into like reading and fitness, and essentially like I do a lot of stuff with fitness as well. So then I get into some sparkling waters and do some podcasts or do interviews or some promo work. Everything that I do has been indoors, and I've been working on like different projects with a bunch of different companies here in Ontario where like I'm doing some like watch alongs to my own to my own matches where I'm doing commentary for, it's going to roll out on like this one company that's doing a network. So I'm doing a lot of like independent projects that way, but a lot of it is just essentially like promo work, or I'm essentially doing all different types of like commentary or filming and stuff like that.
What's it like to
Still
watch?
create.
Go ahead. What'd you say?
Oh, I was just saying, just to continue to stay creative.
Yeah,
'Cause
stay
that's
creative.
very important for me. Because like, if not, I'd be going crazy. And I'm
Yeah.
also like, I'm a terrible drawer and I hate it. But I sat down and like drew out my last couple sets of gear.
That's cool.
Like just before, like in like November. Because I was like, all right, we need all new stuff
Yeah.
going into like the gut check stuff. I was like, you got to look TV ready. So I wore like those last pairs of gear where it says Tirva across the front of I also switched to long tight. So I've just been doing like a lot of those little creative things and like just working on every little piece of me that I can, so that when we get to go ahead to wrestle again, I'm essentially completely ready. And I do watch anywhere from like 30 minutes to about 3 hours of wrestling a day. That's after my girlfriend goes to sleep. I essentially just like watch and study tape to look at different things.
What's the most recent thing you've been watching?
Last night I watched 2.5 hours of the Orient Express in WWF.
Oh yeah, now we're talking.
So I watched 1990 Tanaka and Kato and Tanaka and Sato squash matches, but I've refused to watch any of the pay-per-view matches yet because I'm gonna save that for once I've seen every single like squash tag match where they're just rolling through guys and just super kicking guys like recklessly. It's awesome.
That is awesome. That makes me want to go watch it after this. That is great.
I downloaded their theme song and put it on my playlist for my workout. So I set up my rings today, and I go to do like chest and arms, and I get set up on the rings, and all I hear is the little video game. It sounds like I'm playing like Street Fighter or whatever. It's just like oh, so good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you keep up with today's product?
I do. I only like to watch like certain guys.
Yeah.
And then like when it comes to like guys, I really like watching like Dolph Ziggler matches and Randy Orton matches for WWE. I also I watch a lot of Charlotte Flair matches as well.
Awesome.
I think she's really good, and I like Rhea Ripley. Yeah. I've only seen a couple of her matches, but everything that I see, I really like. And then I still try to stay current. I watch like at least a match or two of Impact, and then a lot of their promos, and then I try to just stay relevant with AEW as well, because I really like seeing anything that Jericho's involved with, and Jericho's even anything with like Cody. Anything that has promos around it, I'll always watch it. So I'll always watch like the promo setting up to the match, and then I'll watch the match as well.
Yeah, the promos, I think, because we had the COVID and there are no fans. I think that the emphasis on the promo has really been magnified through all this, and I think we're seeing some really great promos. And I think those are the people who can put out the great promo are the people we're gonna see. Jericho's great over there in AEW. Randy right now with Edge is just doing phenomenal stuff there.
Oh,
so
money.
I mean, it is.
He's just printing money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And put those two together, and it is money. Now, okay. We're going to get down to some of these final questions, and then I'm going to give the mic over to you because I've always said I try not to keep anyone over an hour. I like to try and live by that. It makes me at least feel good about myself, I guess. First of all,
It's all good. I just got more Orient Express matches to watch after this. So.
I'm going to go look it up because I can hear the song in my head.
Bro,
I can hear it.
There's like watching them against like Coco Beware or like like because they'll always be like Coco Beware and then like and some random tag partner or you see like just a couple different guys like there's even like Shane Douglas is sprinkled in.
Yeah.
Like
Cool.
Shane Douglas is like looks like he's on the main roster and like and you can just like he's super jacked back then.
Yeah,
it's sweet. It's worth it. But then like the power bomb, like Sato's power bomb, you're like every time I think the guy's gonna land on his head. It's awesome.
Very stiff. It was stiff is what it was.
Oh yeah.
There's a great story about I believe it's the first time that you got to call your own match, and it was with Brutus the Barber Beefcake, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Is there a good story behind that?
Yeah. So there's sweet. Okay. So here's the scenario. So imagine you're in a warehouse.
Yes.
And it's an open bar, free booze, and it's at a brewery. Okay. Mm-hmm. So there's rings set up in the middle of a brewery. Everyone's there's 125 people. They work for like a travel company. Imagine like a Travelocity or Expedia type of company. So they bought a wrestling show. And so all the employees, this is like their year party, and they're to show up dressed as their favorite wrestler.
Oh my God.
And so they're standing around the ring. There's 0 chairs. There's just 3 separate bars, and just like everyone's hammered. And so match number 1 is Highlander Robbie McAllister against the Honky Tonk Man.
Oh boy.
And so, yeah. And so like they go out, tear it up. 2 people in the crowd are dressed as Honky, which is sweet because then you got like 2 fake honkies, but real honkies in the ring.
Yeah.
And like, and Honky's just being Honky, like wild and talking a ton. And and then so once they're done, then the main event comes out. So the main event is the Saturday Night Delight, the dapper, dimpled, dangerously delicious Mr. Young, Fit, and Stupid Pretty. So I come into the ring, get on the microphone, talk about how everyone's just a wannabe around here and everyone's just like essentially like they're a turd and I'm awesome, blah, blah, blah. Boom. Then what do you hear? You hear Brutus Beefcake's music hit. Dan, 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 dan.
Yeah.
But the best part is he comes through the curtain in an Under Armour shirt and jeans and white running shoes because his gear bag got caught at customs, so he didn't have his gear bag. And he's been drinking vodkas for the last 2 hours since he got there.
Goodness gracious.
So we got red-faced Brutus Beefcake coming into the ring. And just before I walked out there, he goes, "All right, kid, see you out there. You're going to call it." I was like, all right. So I get in the ring, did that promo. Like I said, he comes down, eventually gets in. So he's got no knee pads, no wrist tape, like nothing. There's nothing Brutus Beefcake about this match. And so I'm getting right towards the end. And I remember like I have him set up in the corner. I'm just punching him. And he's like, "Yeah, good kid. Yeah. Like, keep going. I remember looking like all around me. I see like a Ted DiBiase and an Undertaker and a Paul Bear. And there was a Yokozuna. I'm like, what? In my head, I was like, this is my real life.
You're like,
and then I was like,
LSD.
Yeah, it's like it's like a shitty dream because I'm like, how did he forget his gear bag? Like of all things, I'm like, if I'm wrestling Brutus Beefcake, I want Brutus Beefcake, not Under Armour and jeans. Like I'm going to like Olive Garden. Like so then, anyways, like crowd's going nuts. I come off the ropes. He puts me in the sleeper, pass out. Cuts the hair off the back of my head, throws it into the crowd, place goes wild. And like, it was awesome.
That's
but like
great.
To look like left and right and like everyone's dressed as every wrestler I've ever
brother
loved.
love in there.
Yeah. Oh, it's so sweet.
That's funny.
So sweet. And then I come through the curtain. One part that I didn't tell about the story, or that I've ever told about the story is I come through the curtain. Like I said, Honky had a few drinks.
Yeah.
And this is like 2012-ish, 2013, I think. And he just goes to me. He kept putting me over. He's just like, you're as good as Randy Orton. And like kept going on all these different things. And I was just like, thank you very much. I was like, Randy Orton's so good. I'm like, I appreciate it. But in my head, I'm like, I just wrestled like and got my mohawk cut against like Brutus Beefcake. Like I'm already on cloud nine, but he was like, that's one thing that was really neat about Honky is a lot of people have always said that they had like, a lot of people have had bad experiences with him. So where I was like, he was awesome to me. So yeah,
that's good to hear.
It was sweet. It was a sweet day.
That sounds awesome, to tell you the truth. I wish I could have experienced it.
Yeah.
So that's a great way. So something I like to do at the end of the show here. Great stories tonight. You've been a pleasure to have on.
Thanks, man. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I like to, this time's yours. So I'm going to give you the mic. You can put over whatever you want. You can tell us where to find you. You can bury anyone. You can say whatever you want. I'm not going to interrupt. And it's just been an honor to have you on tonight. So thank you very much. The mic's yours.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on. This was sweet. Yeah, if anyone that is watching out there, if anyone who's a young wrestler and has questions, or even if you're just a fan and you have questions, you can reach out to me on my Twitter or my Instagram, or I even have a Facebook page, and it's just under Tyler Tirva, so TYLERTIRVA, like the tattoo says. And yeah, I'm working on a couple different projects, a lot of just doing like different promos and stuff like that with a lot of companies here up in Canada. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. And then I also do sell different merchandise, 8x10s and t-shirts, so you can hit me up on any of those platforms and just message me directly.
Awesome. All right. It's been a pleasure. And thanks for coming on, man. I'll speak to you soon.
Absolutely, man. That was fun. We should do that again.
Yeah, anytime. Have a great night.
All right. You too. Take care.
Yep. Oh, that was great. That was awesome, Vanessa. Oh, look, and there's David. David in Atlanta's on.
This guy's called the Standing Streamer.
Brian Zane from Wrestling with Regret, and you're watching Putting You Over.